Hi guys, welcome to RBC Talk. So usually most of my videos talks only about MWD Magic Level Indicator, but this short video is primarily targeting how we select some stock for long-term investment. Long-term is probably in case if you want to hold it for a week or a month or probably 1 6 months kind of a thing. But there should be some reason, some criteria why we are selecting a particular stock. Okay, so to do a long-term investment or before I take a decision on to go ahead and select a stock, I prefer to see the chart in a weekly chart. Okay, so I'll randomly select any stock and then we will decide. Okay, see, this is a growth. Okay, so you can see on a BSC, for example, I am on a weekly chart. So if I say that, okay, you select the stock here, now looking at this chart, anybody can tell this, right? Anybody can see. The most difficult part in the stock market is what happens on the right side. Left side, it's already over. So anyone can talk about this part, right? So if we buy here, whether it will go up or whether it will go down is something like magic or a secret for anyone, right? That's why you are also watching the video. Okay. So now if you look at any of these stocks, for example, we talk about Reliance, SBI, BSE, or you we'll take some 10 different stocks and when to take the entry is what we talk, and the same rule applies for any stock we are going to see. Okay, so for that I'll have one simple indicator. This is not Bollinger Bands related thing, even though you see that, see the Bollinger Band is basically you calculate something and then there is a standard deviation, right? So I use the standard deviation, but it looks like Bollinger Band. Let's have a quick look at that. Okay. So this looks like Bollinger Band related thing, but this is not. Let me explain this. I'm in a weekly chart. You can see it on the time frame BSC 1 week. Now, the the rule number one is you take an entry only when the price is above this line. Okay, you can see this line, right? Then why am I having this one? Okay, so if the price actually, if when it is very close, right? When all these are very close, even if the price comes down, these lines will give strong support. You can see it here, right? That is what the rule number. And one more interesting thing I want to talk about this indicator is when you see this kind of in a very narrow kind of a thing, we all talk about Bollinger Band blast kind of a thing, right? This exactly happens the same thing. If the price is below this line, don't even think of an entry. Only when we see a slight narrow thing, cross the price, you go ahead, take an entry. Now we talk about this. This is the time I'm talking about. This is the candle on the July 23rd week. Definitely would have given a good return on this, right? That's the basic funda here. Okay. Now you just name a stock. Let me open SBIN for example. Okay, SBN is here, right? So we see that there is a good growth here. Now, according to what I told you, so if you're looking at this chart, 2021 is not the time we are talking. We'll talk about somewhere, anywhere, right? So here it took a support, it crossed here. Let's say I take a sub entry here, and from 489 we see like 645, right? It's a good movement. Now when the price comes down, I'm not going to, either you exit or you already booked the profit, right? But once we see a consistent, again, it crossed and closed within a strong candle, somewhere 595. Now that 595 to somewhere 900 and 911. Do you agree this kind of a moment? Okay, so one more, right? Now you see, this is where last week I mentioned in my group, okay? So cross above this, go ahead and consider even an option, right? We in fact we traded also last month and this month, right? That's a good opportunity. From 860 today we are at like 900 plus. That's something like, okay, now take an example, Reliance is up to 400, 1600 level, and then there is a level breakdown and then came all the way down. This is on a PE side. It doesn't matter to us. We didn't even consider anything. But now, once you see the price actually crossed somewhere here and in this week, 1340 level, and we're seeing immediately 1540 level, almost like 200 rupees up. Now again, this week the price closed above this. You take an example, add it to your watch list and see what happens after this, right? So that will definitely uh, gives a confidence whether this indicator. I'm not talking about any other things. See, there are a lot of other things. I actually use triple RSI. I told you about this the last video about 5 things to check before taking an entry. Right? A weekly RSI, monthly RSI, daily RSI. Daily RSI should be more than weekly. Weekly should be more than monthly, and all should be like on the rise above 50. That's something like that's a rules, basic things. But even on top of this, if you are taking a trade in a weekly, these are the things you should be looking at. And for example, I'm just clicking anything. Okay, you look at this a cross here. This line is cross, and some all one, two. See, this is the one upper line, middle, and bottom. Right? These three lines plus this is RV line I'm calling. When the four are crossed, closed above this somewhere here, and this is the entry point 407, and we see all the way to 800. For example, Bajaj Finance. Bajaj Finance, you see, this is exactly a level where it is closed 739 today 1089, right? In fact, every line here will act as a strong support. Okay, there is one more. Let me talk about Sun Pharma, for example. Sun Pharma is the somewhere the level cross somewhere here, right? Which is around like 500. Today, this is trading at around. Okay, in fact, it tested around 1900. Then the level actually breakout happened. Even though this is taking a support, no. And one interesting thing you all need to remember about this, here you see this became very narrow here, and the price closed above this week. This is 1688 level, which is crossed, and in fact, the current week we traded even in options, and this again will take off. Take this is also an example. Add to your watch list and see. So this is one indicator. I call it like RV line here. For me to take an entry for a long term, this is the level. This is the one which I always remember. Okay. So in fee, this is the entry point, and this line when you see it's breaking down is an exit time, right? And again, you see an entry here, they given some. See, this is in a weekly chart. Don't think that okay, if I take an entry exiting here, no, this is almost like 4 months, right? See, this is in June, and we're talking about October, right? June, July, August, September, October, 4 months, and from 1500, we're seeing around like 1970. I don't want to talk about gold. It doesn't sound nice because the gold is in a full rise, and we see the breakout happened somewhere here in 21. But uh, yeah, gold is not an example I want to talk because it's already on the rise. And we'll talk about caps, for example. Okay, so for me, here you can question me why there are no Bollinger Band kind of lines here, because the data is not sufficient for me, which is even though the stock started trading from 2020, I take it even more time to calculate those levels. Okay, here it started because you see this here and the price is still below, but 4088 cross may give an opportunity here. CDSL, for example, you see this cross here, which is like 1347, and today it's already tested 1827. Or you look at anything on here, cross this line happened here, which is around like 550, 560, and we're seeing close to around like 1949. Okay, this is another indicator I use for, because many of you are asking me which one I use for long term. So about the intraday, we use MWD levels. On top of these MWD levels, no, not really required, because this is for long term. MWD is only for the weekly and intraday. Okay, hope this gives some idea. And how do we do the selection? Okay, so you can actually just put any of the stocks comes to your mind which you are actually interested to know. Comment in the on the comment section. I would like to actually share, ping you back and share charts for those stocks. Okay, hope this will help you. Thank you very much.